Yeah, you can go ahead.
Sure. So, hello and welcome to all. Today, we are all gathered here to celebrate the ninth and a very special edition of Prabandhan, an edition that not only signifies the innovation in management, but also shows that if we have a will to learn and make things better, not even a global pandemic like COVID can stop us. To give this celebration an enlightening start, today we have the honor and privilege to host Professor Abhay Karandikar, the Honorable Director of IIT Kanpur, Mr. Nishant Saxena, CEO, International Business, CIPLA, and Dr. Rupam Das, CEO and founder of Aculi Labs and a title partner for Prabandhan. The event cannot start without the special mention of the exceptional support provided by Professor Fani, our Honorable Head of Department of Industrial and Management Engineering, and Professor Shubhankar Mukherjee, Faculty in Charge, Prabandhan. So without further ado, and with a sense of pride, I would like to invite a director to say a few words. The virtual stage is all yours, sir.
So thank you very much. And first of all, let me extend a very warm welcome to all the participants on this first online event of Prabandhan, which I believe is the ninth edition. But due to the unusual circumstances that all of us are in, this is the first online event. So I would like to extend a warm welcome to all the participants and also some of the distinguished guests from the industry that we have, particularly as I was chatting with Mr. Nishant Saxena and all other industry corporate leaders who are here. I believe that we have been organizing this business and management competition every year, but as I said, it is unique in the sense that this has been organized for online for the first time, and we have seen an enthusiastic response to this. I understand that there are about something like 20,000 registrations or so. And which is very, very heartening to see. So in the next 2 days or so, I understand that we would be having a host of activities, which includes, lectures by some of the eminent people, case studies, essay writing, and other competitions, webinars, and talks on entrepreneurships. So these are going to be like really exciting conversations, and particularly, I believe that it will be enlightening for the management students. IIT Kanpur, as you know, is one of the premier technical institutes in the country. And IIT Kanpur, of course, has been known for the engineering educations, particularly, computer science, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, and so on. But recently, I mean, in the last 2 decades or so, IIT Kanpur and all other IITs also have now started the management programs, and the Department of Industrial Management and Engineering, I would say, is one of the very old departments in the institute, though we started MBA program later on, unlike with other, in tune with other IITs, but the department itself has been like quite old. And our focus and emphasis has been essentially to focus on the technology management, and IIT Kanpur is and like other IITs also, is a unique institute where the management students get an opportunity to interact with the technology faculty and technology students and leaders on the campus, and really work with them to see how the challenges are there in the technology management per se, and use them perhaps as the case studies in their program. So this institute really provides a unique opportunity which are not there perhaps in the other management institutions. And I believe a glimpse of these you will be seen in today these 2 days program in terms of the program that has been organized. So I would really like to congratulate the organizers, particularly the Department of IME students and faculty, and also, the head of IME department, Professor B.V. Fani, for putting together an interesting program in these very difficult times. I would also like to congratulate and thank all the participants who are enthusiastically participating even in this session, as I see that a large number of participants have joined in these programs. And so obviously, I'm sure that all of them are looking forward to an exciting engagement, with the whole program. So I would like to wish this program a good success. It would have been really good if we had met all of you in person on the beautiful campus of IIT Kanpur. Hopefully, we will get over with this crisis soon, and we will be able to organize this event, on our campus in a much larger setting. And we will be able to see all of you on the campus once again. Thank you very much, and wish all the best for this entire program.
Thank you, sir. It's an honor for us to share a virtual platform with you. Now, I would like to invite Professor Fani, our Honorable Head of Department, under whom we are already experiencing a number of positive changes for the betterment of our department. If today we, the management students, are so excited about organizing a fest from our home, a huge credit goes to the visionary eyes of Professor Fani. Sir, I would like to invite you to this virtual platform and share your vision about the management program and Prabandhan.
Thank you. I hope everybody can hear me. And it's not, I think I agree with Rupam on this, that working with millennials is always an exciting journey, and also makes you feel much younger than you normally feel when you wake up in the bed in the morning. But yes, yeah, and gives a lot of enthusiasm. And I agree with Nishant on that the interaction between industry and academia is very, very critical for not only engineering, but also the management part of the education. And it provides a very holistic education. I believe this particular event has surpassed all our past events in the sense of participation and also the reach. And I believe in a way that this pandemic has given us the opportunity to actually breach boundaries which were earlier there, and then explore new alternative ways of reaching out to people, reaching out and interacting with the outside world. And I believe this is a great thing for us as a management school. And I also would like to, I have seen that the whole batch as a one unit had worked together to make this possible. I've been tracking, I've been talking to you guys in one sense or other, maybe giving my all sorts of redundant suggestions, maybe making myself a busybody in intervening and interfering with what you are thinking. Yeah, but then the way we have brought it together, you have brought it together, and I believe I am basking in your glory today that you guys have done a great job. Given this, what I believe, I'll keep it short because I know that you are in time and our guests are waiting to speak there. I think we should give them more time than we just go on and on about ourselves. One part which I would like to state before I leave you is that the whole of management education in IME department has completely been redone, and we have actually reduced the interaction or the direct delivery in courses. The coursework has been reduced drastically, and we have given only very few courses, but we have engaged you in a 1 year, almost a 1 year full-time kind of an engagement with a startup or a company in different problems, either in a series of problems or in one set of problems where you can actually engage and explore your passion in the management domain on a hands-on kind of a thing. And this event actually shows that that has been a very good this thing, because organizing an event provides an holistic rounding off to your management education the way we see. I mean, if you look at management education, most of it is either your silos of marketing, finance, strategy, operations, and all that stuff. And the difference between our management education and what is done in the other countries is that normally in other countries they don't take freshers. They take people with industry experience who already have seen an organization in its this thing. So they understand an organization. But for us, the freshers, just we take all the freshers. I mean, we are trying to change the ratio of 60-40 or 80-20 kind of a thing. So the students do not have access to this, because whatever we are teaching, they don't see any practical application, even though there's a capstone project which actually narrows it down to a particular domain. They don't see this. And I believe that this kind of opportunity is one of the best opportunities, because here you are actually coming together as a team. So you are learning leadership skills, team building, you are funding this through your own, you are raising the finance, you are marketing it, you are strategizing how to go about and getting the speakers or getting this thing. You are actually coming up with new models of business, of engagement, of how to turn this event into different and appeal to the customer segments in terms of, that is how the participation increases. That is how the registration comes. That is how the total access eyeballs on this. I think I have been suitably informed that we are also live on YouTube, and we are expecting about 4.5 lakh eyeballs on this today. I mean, that's a big thing for a small department in some nook and corner of UP, Kanpur, where nobody wants to even tread. And this pandemic is a boon, because people like Nishant Saxena could join us from Dubai instead of, asking them to come here, wasting 5 days of time and all that stuff. And their expertise is being shared with so many people across the world. And this also gives you a rounding off in your management. Like, believe all of you have learned from it. This is mostly I perceive it as a addition to the learning we give you in the classroom. And I believe this has been a great thing, and I believe you have pulled it off greatly. And I hope both the guests agree with me on this. Rupam and Nishant. Rupam obviously would know, because he's been a founder and he's running the company. And Nishant already has founded, run, sold, and then he's doing the corporate. So they would identify with what I am saying. And thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. Though I never like to come and talk, so that is what I was resisting this talking business with them for the last. And I said, give me only 30 seconds. Don't give me anything. Just show my face and let me go, and let Shubhankar take over. But I think once you put me on the stage, I can't stop talking. That is the basic backdrop being a faculty. And normally, if you are given an opportunity, you never know when to stop. So let me stop now. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. A management festival does not look complete without a title partner's name on it. Dr. Rupam Das and his firm Aculi Labs has made sure that even in the times of COVID, we don't remain worrying for any obstacle that can have the potential to stop the progress of our first digital conclave. An exceptional thing about Dr. Das is that he has always been ready for providing any technical and intellectual support to the fest. Despite handling a healthcare-based tech firm, he has agreed to take out his time and just 3 of our events and share his views with budding managers and leaders. Sir, I would like to invite you to shed some light over your journey as an entrepreneur and your expectations from Prabandhan 2020. Sir, you are on mute.
Okay. Thanks a lot for giving me the opportunity to speak and share my thoughts with all of you, and congratulate to the students and the faculties of Department of Management, IIT Kanpur. This is really a fascinating thing that you have pulled up in a difficult time. So I do not want to waste a lot of your valuable times. Just want to share a few of the things why IIT Prabandhan's this event is going to be a very significant event, and why this pandemic is going to be a very significant event for India and for the globe as a whole. In 430 BC, in Romance, in the Rome Senate, a senator asked, Rome having so much of gold, where the gold is going. So in reply to that, another senator replied that our women's fascination for Indian silk is evaporating our gold resource, because we spend all the golds to the Indian merchants who sell us the silk. So for last 2,500 years, India has been a country of entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship. India is a country where if you go to any streets, even a street guy whom we consider illiterate can do all the complex mathematics, all the arithmetics of the numbers and the monies just orally and mentally. That's a fascinating skill you do not get anywhere in the world. We are a country where most of the economy is unorganized. People are all entrepreneurs. And I salute the spirit of entrepreneurship of this great country of mine to start this talk. I have been an entrepreneur since the age of 11. I started my first startup when I was in class 7. Since then, I have done all the studies, and I've funded most of my education through the companies that I have run. And this is almost like 3 decades of me in the business. So when Naveen and his team approached me about IIT Prabandhan, I thought this is a very fascinating opportunity for us, the startup community, to get associated with the management. Now, if I have to break down, why it is so interesting in terms of the opportunity, in terms of the market, and in terms of the industry academic collaboration, is if you see a startup has got literally 4 phases. The number 1 phase is the revolutionary phase, where few crazy guys like us, we think that the status quo is not correct, and we challenge the status quo. This is a time when you do the revolution. You denounce the current system, and you stand against it, and you decide that it has to be taken care of. Now, that is a system which is completely chaotic. You do not know what is to be done, how the things are to be done. The second phase is little more status phase, where you have identified how you are going to solve a problem. You have settled few of the confrontations that you do, which is the second phase. Kid goes to the school. There is the third phase, when the finance comes in, when the investor comes in, when you create processes and you create a lot of structures to this unstructured business environment. And there is a fourth phase where you implement the scalability, you implement all the standardization, compliances, regulations, such that it becomes a corporate. So startup is a journey from a very chaotic environment to a corporate. Startup is not a very small version of the corporate. Startup is essentially an entity in lookout for profitable and scalable business model. Now, after pandemic, the world has changed, and changed for the better. This pandemic was an opportunity for us to identify the finer aspect of human relationships, mental health, fine-grained, things like the world is not about you. If people around you are starving and people around you are not thriving, then even you are not going to thrive. So when Naveen's teams approached me, I thought that it would be a great opportunity for me to get associated with them as a founder, as a friend, or somebody who has seen 3 decades of market ups and downs. And I believe that the way the guys have pulled out this event has been so fascinating. I was observing the quality of sound, quality of bandwidth that they have provided to this virtual event. The team, I congratulate you for such a great initiative. And from Aculi Labs standpoint, I have been trying to solve this problem of computer aided diagnostics, making chronic disease management much better since 2008. It's been more than a decades of journey where I've been trying to bring a different perspective of chronic disease management, and to make it available to the last man in the bottom of the pyramid, bringing the technology and giving it on people's hands, so that everybody gets diagnostic, everybody gets care in terms of the best of the facilities. this pandemic has given us the opportunity to take our mission to a very grand scale, where we have reached out to people from different parts of the country where nothing reaches. We developed a mobile application that can screen COVID, which is under ICMR review. Even when it is under ICMR review, we have done about 1,050 screenings, also provided them home-based therapeutics. And I'm proud to say that only 2 of our patient base from 1,050 had a hospitalization, and we had no ICU and no death at all. So it's been a very proud time as a company, and particularly somebody who is very emotional about taking the care to the last man in the bottom of the pyramid. So with that, I believe that some of the challenges that we have faced, where the students have come up with their own their solution, they have put their mind, the millennial energy, as I say, has been very fascinating, and I hope the next 2 days is going to be very memorable. So with that, I would like to conclude my talk, thanking once more to IIT Kanpur, Naveen and his team, the Prabandhan team, and all the dignitaries and the other participants who have invested their time and money into this event, and today's event in particular. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Moving on for the highlight of the day. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce Mr. Nishant Saxena, CEO, International Business at Cipla, which is one of the top 15 generic companies in the world. Mr. Saxena is heading geographies like Latin America, Europe, North Africa, Asia, and Australia. He has also been awarded the Young CFO of the Year and Best in Class High Performance Team. Prior to Cipla, he was the founder and CEO of Elements Academia, where he won World Bank's High Impact Entrepreneurship Award in Mexico and was profiled as 40 social entrepreneurs making India better by Outlook. His startup was also featured in 50 hottest startups by Business India. Prior to that, he has held multiple senior roles in Procter & Gamble, including Deputy CFO, P&G India, and Regional Mergers and Acquisition Head at P&G. We are delighted to have you here with us today, sir. The platform is all yours.
Thank you, IIT Kanpur. It's always an honor to be with young minds. How much time do I have, Amrit?
So we may have around 45 to 50 minutes for your session, and then for Q&A around 15 minutes.
Sure. Look, I don't know what advice can anyone give to young minds, that too from one of the top B schools, one of the top IITs of the country. But as somebody said, where you are now, so once was I. Where I am now, so you shall be. So what I will do is 20 years outside a similar MBA campus, I am Lucknow. I'll talk about some of my lessons. Little louder. I'll talk about some of my journeys there, and hopefully, vicariously, they would make your journey outside the campus and in the corporate world a little smoother. Of course, feel free to discard whatever does not work for you. All of us have to find our own path. So what I'll do is I'll give you 10 lessons that in retrospect, I would want to give if I could go back 20 years in time. The very first is what's called the 3 Ps: be passionate, be proactive, and the reason be positive. It's not a coincidence that almost all of my batchmates who have done very well since their campus were people who were very, very active in the campus, not just doing academics, not just trying to get grades, but then also presenting papers, participating in competitions, speaking in conferences. I went to something in Cologne in Germany, doing live industry projects, leading clubs. I used to run a club of road track and book club and finance club, participating in a lot of extracurricular activities. They were full of contagious energy. Even in my internship at Procter & Gamble, They gave me one project I asked for, and I got 3 projects, and then I got an offer to return there, a PPO. I think we just have to come out of the school world where just completing the assignments was enough. Uh, an MBA education is about much more. Be self-aware. Where do you want to be? Where are you now? And so what is the path that will take you there? What are the blind spots that must be addressed? And do it all very positively. Don't crib and complain about it. The idea is to be full of contagious energy. So be positive, be passionate, be proactive. Don't wait for people to give instructions. Do it yourself. My second lesson is life is only 50% fair. So don't overmanage your career. Ambition breeds impetuosity. And so we put a very high premium on what we want and by when we want it. So like the second year students here, when I was just preparing for my campus placement, I was very upset that international assignments did not come to IIM Lucknow in those days. And I was upset that why am I not getting that chance? And I joined PNG in Mumbai. And then, as luck would have it, an analyst in Japan just resigned, and they needed somebody they knew, and I had done internship there. And so suddenly, 3 days into the job in Mumbai, my manager called me and said, "We are sending you to Japan as an expatriate." And that was my career has taken a completely different turn. I've now worked in 6 countries. I've traveled to 60 countries. But I often ruminate that my first break had as much to do with luck as it had to do with any hard work. I have now twin teenage daughters, and often they come home frustrated. And my message to them is life is only 50% fair. The good news is that it is as fair to you as it will be unfair to you, or it is as unfair to you as it will be for everyone else. So, and in the long run, all of these things will tend to even out. Just focus on your circle of influence, what you can control. So don't overmanage your career. Things just happen often. My third lesson is listen empathetically, listen to understand, not to reply. Uh, my first posting in Japan, after my first business meeting, my manager called me there. And she said, "What was the meeting all about?" And I said, the brand manager, the Japanese brand manager, was trying to explain to me all about the business. And she remarked that the objective for you was to learn, but I saw you were speaking most of the time. And that was when the penny dropped. It was an aha moment for me. And I realized that as articulate and confident managers, and especially Indians, we fall in love with our own voice. Especially when there are disagreements, we appear to listen, but we would be mentally preparing our own response. Japanese, on the other hand, have mastered this whole thing of empathetic listening, of listening by suspending all judgment, just trying to see what is the other person. If an equally intelligent person has a very different point of view than mine, shouldn't I genuinely try to understand his or her point of view, even for a moment? Doesn't mean agreeing or disagreeing, just listening. And I think our campuses and schools, and a message to the professors here, Professor Abhay and Professor Fani, we teach people to read, write, speak a lot. I don't think we teach people to listen. And in corporate world, especially as you go up, listening becomes very important. My fourth lesson is also from my career experience. This was my first analyst role, something most of you will be doing very, very soon. I was proud of my analytics. And very quickly, when I ran the Excel numbers, I was in finance. I came to the conclusion that our color cosmetics segment, this was Max Factor that PNG had bought, was always going to be in a loss. There is just so many shades, keeping a lot of inventory, too much write-off. I did a competitive assessment. Looks like nobody in color cosmetics was making money. By the way, my wife, Sabah, she absolutely loved this assignment because of all the free color cosmetics, mascara, and all that we used to get from the factory. So I went to my business unit CEO, an Italian gentleman, Paolo. He's now the CEO of Intrims. And I said we should shut down this segment. Look, I've done all the analysis. I've looked at all competition. This will never make money. Just shut it down. He smiled and he said, have you been to the store? And obviously, like an analyst, I had not been to the store. So he says, go for the next 2 weeks, you will just work from the stores. So I went to the store, and then suddenly I realized when I saw how firsthand how the sales were being made, that it was an aha moment that most of the women would come to the Procter and Gamble counter for color cosmetics, and then our beauty counselor would convince them to buy other things, whether it was much more profitable skincare products, etc. And then I realized, now we study this whole McDonald model that I think their burgers hardly make any money, but their cola and chips is where they make money. And I would never have understood that till I saw how our sales happened. So it is very important for young minds to think beyond armchair theory, get their hands dirty, and imbibe the real world. Even in Cipla, our founder, Dr. Hamid, he insisted I joined as the CFO of the India business. He insisted that I spend 4 weeks just going through small cities along with the sales rep, pretty much on his mobile, and try to understand how sales are made. Corporate offices must first learn how business is done. My fifth lesson is from now the third country. I was posted from Japan to Philippines in Procter and Gamble. They were creating up what was then just coming up in a very big way, the KPOs. They were trying to, I was the head of the general ledger, and they were trying to set up this whole KPO, thousands of people, first offshore accounting center in Asia. So my fifth lesson is your role is what you make it out to be. So when I went into this assignment, I went all grumpy and upset. I was a card-holding member of the MBA community. I loved analysis. I loved M&A. And now I was being sent to do accounting, which I didn't understand fully. I didn't even know debits and credits very well. But my mentor, he's now the global CFO of Kellogg's. He was then my manager. He gave me a very sage advice. He said, if you strategically think about being a CFO one day, there is no chance you can do it without deep knowledge of accounting. In any case, you would do these roles only once in your lifetime. So learn as much as is available in the whole wide world on this. I took that literally to heart. And every morning I used to wake up at 5 a.m., read about accounting, so much so that I started being called by the CPA Association to give lectures on accounting, SAP 101, etc. And very soon I also was promoted to a CFO. I think the role that we do, the college that we go to, the course that we do, it is all what we make it out to be. If we focus too much on, oh, but this is a boring course, then it will become a boring course. If we say, I want to learn it and learn it as much as I want, the knowledge is available, suddenly the course will become very, very exciting. My sixth lesson is now, as you go up in hierarchy, focus not just on the what, but also the how of business results. So P&G acquired Gillette. I was posted as the Deputy CFO of the India operations. And this was the year my business results were wonderful. Our acquisition, post-merger integration did very, very well. I was at the helm of all of it. But my performance assessment, which was at the end of the year, that came out average. Almost always I got the best to one of the top ratings, but this year it came out average in an year when my business results were fantastic. And then my manager and my India CEO took me aside and they said that in my desire to push results, I had developed rough edges and insecurities. And that was making collaboration with my peers difficult. I had developed rough edges. I felt very angry. I felt very, this is not fair. The world was not fair. But later on deeper introspection, I realized that yes, sometimes when I should have protected my team, when I should have taken responsibility, I think to protect my own reputation, I passed the blame to others. And the great company that Procter & Gamble was, it very quickly caught it and punished me for it. I think it was probably the best wake-up call I could ever have had in my career. Since then, I'm generally known as an organization builder, a magnet for talent. This little mistake that I made before has helped me in the next 10, 15 years of my career. So, especially in large matrix organization, you have to influence peers, and these peers who are not reporting to you, but very critical for your success. So using insights based on hard data and not focusing on opinions, a mindset of win-win thinking, the art of the rhetoric, communicating to influence, ethos, logos, pathos. So the how of business results by taking people along is as important as the result itself. My seventh lesson is on the power of social network, and who would know this better than the millennials over here? My next posting was in Singapore. I went there with my family, a beautiful country. By the way, it can teach us how to move from a third world to a first world country. There were many Indians. I was always into networking, always wanting to talk to people. And I started an alumni chapter for my B school there. Very senior people in Singapore who were from my campus, they all joined. We used to have meetings, and I kind of just left it at that. I was the coordinator for the chapter. But later, after many years, 3-4 years in Singapore, I decided to start my startup. And I wanted to go around people, senior people asking for funding. And many of my angel investors were from the same alumni network that I had built before, because they saw you, they trusted you, and so on. And when I needed advice, these were the first people who were very, very willing to help me out. I'm still in touch with my first 3 managers in the corporate world, people who were like 20 years back who were my managers. And of course, with my professors, almost every 20 years, every Teacher's Day, I would wish 3-4 professors from the B school, 3-4 from the engineering college. It is not about nepotism, because leaders risk compromising their own career and growth. They would never settle for mediocrity. Never only because they are close to it. It is about building a win-win partnership based on mutual respect and mutual loyalty, both of them. Respect, see, credibility comes from high character and high competence. Just competent is not good, just high character is not good. You need to be a very good human being and very good in what you do. It's an and. And when my shareholders, there were various rounds and some of the shareholders lost money. From my CIPLA salary, I returned their money. I didn't have to do that. But for some of them who had supported me blindly, I said, no, you bet on me. And now that I have money, I would want to return your... You form deep connections, the kind of connections when you put down the phone and look in the other person's eyes, look in the other person's soul. That's the kind of network that I'm talking about. So my lesson 7 is the power of social networks. My 8th lesson is about my entrepreneurship, pursuing a big dream, which is beyond power, beyond money. I quit P&G to start my own company. I was turning 30. I was getting, the midlife crisis. Will I sell soaps and shampoos my whole life? I felt the education system in India, much like Professor Abhay just said, industry wants a particular thing. Academics teaches very different things, and never the twain shall meet. So I tried to start a company on making people employable. We created a team, about 60 people in 6 offices, and I had to hire a lot of top grads because this was a funded venture. We had to get the best people, but why would anybody join me? And so the only reason why anybody would join me was if I could inspire them. I could look at them and say, look, this is my dream. Do you want to be a part of this dream? Can we create this dream together? And we got the best of the IMs to join us at a fraction of their salary. I think when you start seeing something which is bigger than what you are, something larger than all of us, that is what inspires others. if your sole reason for work or sole reason to even start a company is the locus of control is external, it's about money, it's about recognition, will people know me, uh, very soon you will get tired. I don't want to be a hypocrite. Money is important, recognition is important. But if that becomes the sole driver of success or the sole reason for your push, then you will get tired, because in life, in corporate career, in entrepreneurship, if at all it comes very late. Most CXOs make every year what they made in the last 10, 15 years of their career. So you have to hang on that long and do well for that long. It's a marathon. Most entrepreneurs take 6 to 8 years, and that too with a 5% success rate. But the going was very tough in my startup elements. And I still remember we took a house in Lucknow, and all my entire core team used to live there, and my wife used to cook for all of us, never complaining once. Over time, we trained and placed more than 10,000 youth, and the World Bank High Impact Entrepreneurship Award. All the recognition followed later on. But that big dream is what keeps you going. Mediocrity is a disease. So you have to figure out what's your big dream. And like they say, right, dreams are not what you see while you sleep. They are what does not let you sleep. So you need to find what's your big dream. And I saw Rupam having his big dream since he was 11 years old. And that is what I guess keeps him going. So you have to figure out what your big dream is, but it cannot be money, power, designation. Let there be important byproducts, but not the main thing. My ninth lesson is a lesson of accountability, a full accountability of results. If it is to be, it is up to me. If it is up to me, it shall be. No excuses management. So after my startup, I joined Cipla, which was one of my clients, one of the largest generic pharmaceutical companies in the world. They had acquired one of the largest companies in South Africa, and I was sent as what they call Deputy CEO earlier, then CFO, basically a CFO role. Like it happens often in M&A, many of our initial assumptions went wrong. Our business was not delivering to its budget commitments. We were in the red. There were murmurs. A board member took me aside and said, should we be selling it out? Should we just cut our losses? My CEO, Paul Miller, a very, very good friend and mentor, and I made a detailed plan. Look, this is the gift that is given to us. We cannot change what is given to us. We cannot complain why it was done. The only thing in our power is to turn it around. And we made a whole plan working with our top 100 managers there and leverage the best of what we had and fix what was not working. Backup for all the challenges, plan B, plan C. And in 3 years, we doubled revenues, we tripled profit, we trebled the ROIC. So much so that this was published in actually a case study in a peer-reviewed journal. University of Stellenbosch is the #1 B school in South Africa, and they published this as a case study. It's actually taught in some, one of my friends in IIM Bangalore, he was telling me that he's using that case study to teach post-merger integration. In fact, next month I'm teaching there how to do post-merger integration with all of that learning. Personal recognition follows once 3 years of good results come. I got the Industries Award for the Young CFO of the Year. The message is that leaders must take full accountability. Good excuse plus bad result is still a bad performance. It doesn't make it a good performance. I can listen to your excuses. I can try to empathize with you. The fact is you still failed. So full accountability of results. My last lesson, and this is now that I have started having gray hair, it's a lesson very different from the others. My last lesson is be wise and not just smart. A couple of years back, I became the CEO of this venture. You see, all of us have come from the education courses where the entrance test is an aptitude-based entrance test, and they oversell IQ. Early on in my career, I wanted to be the smartest in the room, solving the problem fast, talking about, I was very proud when my managers used to call me the human calculator and all that. But as the CEO of our business in Dubai, with 50 countries under me, I just cannot solve all the problems myself. It is the time to be wise, to decide which are the few problems to focus on, which, if I could solve, it will take my business in a very different direction. It's getting the right talent, people who are hopefully much better than me and who complement me. I mean, I can never run Latin America sitting here. I don't even know Spanish or Portuguese. So we got a very good guy, Carlos Estrada, who was from Roche in Colombia. He runs it, and so on. Even choosing battles where it's okay to let go. Sometimes it's okay to lose. The habit of winning too much is also a bad habit of performers, because the incremental reward of winning may not be commensurate with the incremental returns and the incremental effort that we have to put in. And then, of course, the humbling realization that there is so much I don't know about the business. It is best to keep listening and learning. So these, my young friend, are my 10 lessons, are my reflections of the last 2 decades, 3 organizations, an MNC, a startup, an Indian, 6 different countries where I've lived and worked in: Japan, South Africa, Philippines, Singapore, Dubai, India, and 10 lessons. I've already held you much longer than I should have. I apologize if any of this comes out as immodest, preachy, hubristic. That was not the intent. It only reflects I haven't done my job very well. The intent is to introspect in you so that maybe some of these will vicariously help you. Before I hand it over to the Q&A session, I would just have one parting advice. Have fun. Drink life to the lees. We have but one life, just one life. When I look at my fellow corporate brethren, especially in Asia, I think we all lead a very unidirectional life. Work becomes life in what is called the Procrustean paradox. I don't know if you've heard about the bed of Procrustes. Procrustes had a bed. He used to invite travelers there, and if a traveler was too long, too tall, and his legs were out of the bed, then he would cut the legs of the traveler. And if it's too short, then he would stretch their limbs. Behind this macabre tale is an important lesson. The bed was supposed to fit the traveler, not the traveler was supposed to fit the bed. We are changing the wrong variable. Work was supposed to fit in to make life more meaningful. Unfortunately, now our life revolves around work. And that then, to my mind at least, is a Procrustean inversion. I have personally ferociously tried to guard my personal life, ferociously. I learned flying a small plane, I did bungee jumping, I did skydiving, shark cage diving, all those sharks come all around you, snake handling courses, you have to hold a cobra by its tail, Mount Everest base camp, volunteer for a foundation, PNG Alumni Association. We give a lot of grants to grassroots organization. I maintain a blog. Anyone who's interested in reading, it's a blog called nishansaxena.in. Top 100 books to make us wise. For all the 100 books across various genres, I've written a summary of each of that book, starting from the Upanishads, some of them, to management, fiction, literature, and so on. What I'm trying to say is, I don't know if you have known about the Nordic countries. They have consistently been, Finland, Norway, Denmark, they have consistently on the happiest countries in the world, consistently. We were there on a vacation and I was asking many people, my daughters and I, this Asanya and I were talking to, what makes you guys so happy? And we realized that, like Tolstoy said, all happy families are alike. The recipe is a rainbow of things. You need a lot of family bonding, you need a lot of social security, you need long vacations, you need controlled working hours, you need a lot of outdoor activities. We have but one life. Why wouldn't you enjoy it to the leaves? So with that, ladies and gentlemen, may the force be with you.
Thank you, sir. Should we begin with the Q&A session, sir?
Absolutely.
So the first question is from Krunal. So Krunal, you can go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Sir, it was an immense pleasure to listen to you. So basically, as we all know, COVID has taken us all by surprise. So a leader in position like yours, how do you like prepare for such a surprises? And you like work in a pharmaceutical company. So even if the COVID was a bad surprise for everyone, pharmaceutical companies might have been capitalizing on it. So how does a leader also capitalize on such opportunities? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sad place. The world is in a sad place right now. Uh, but people said, I think Winston Churchill or somebody said that never waste a good crisis. I think companies have figured out many things that they would never have been able to do before that. It's a healthcare crisis. We are in healthcare, so of course, some of the most life-saving drugs like remdesivir are made by Cipla at some of the cheapest cost available in the market. So access and reach is obviously one of the things pharma does. In my own business, remdesivir, which is one of the few drugs that reduces your mortality rate if you get serious. I sell it to governments and ambassadors of all these countries. Keep talking: Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, Dominican Republic, small countries, large countries. Everyone wants the medicine, and it's my job to. People would call suddenly, "Do you have a medicine?" And almost everyone in Cipla gets a call, and other pharma companies, and it's such a beautiful feeling that you can help one person at a time. I would have got at least 100 LinkedIn. Somebody's dying somewhere. Can you urgently arrange medicines? So it's a time when you realize you have the power to make difference. But beyond that, of a larger message, these are the times to, like I said, never waste a good crisis. These are the times to reimagine. I mean, who would have thought that your classes can happen online? My office can work online. I mean, I used to travel so much, and now for the last 9 months, I have not, but my business has not gone down. We have now figured out that people can be anywhere in the world, and then we have realized there were so many inefficiencies in the business. Why would we ask people to come to office? Many of my offices are work from home and working as efficiently. We've realized we don't need large office spaces. As a small bit, we realize we don't need to commute as much. We realize where people can work from home and be equally good. We have realized many other things that we used to have these large doctor conferences and all. Why would we need all of that now? Why can't we have one webinar across the whole world, an international healthcare webinars? So if you do not reimagine, then you have wasted this opportunity, because crisis is also, the classic case of change management. Good change management follows 7 steps. The first step is sense of urgency. A crisis creates that sense of urgency.
Thank you, sir. Next, we'll take question from Pratik. So Pratik, you can go ahead.
So thank you for the insightful session. Actually, my question is, um, being a founder and experience, as you have a experience in raising a company and a founder of the company, how much does influence this as the role of a CEO in your career?
I actually have written a little blog on my LinkedIn, and you can see that on entrepreneurship as well. Entrepreneurship has huge benefits. It allows you to take policy decisions very early. It allows you to leave an impact. But don't join entrepreneurship for the wrong reason. If money is the reason you are chasing it, just remember that less than 5% startups make money, and on an average, a corporate career pays much more than an average startup. And of course, the world is not an average place. If I truly become honest with myself and try to analyze my own reason why I got into a startup, I think it was more a dissonance with my current. I thought I was ready for more. I was a middle management. I thought I was a small spoke in a 100,000 people company. I thought I could do much more, but the company had to take the collective aspirations of 100,000 people into account. And so I thought I'll leave it all and start off on my own. In hindsight, and the caveat that all of us are geniuses in hindsight. In hindsight, this dissonance with the old is the wrong reason to start. Because now I realize at a general manager level, we still take policy decisions. I can still have a huge impact on a large scale impact. Everything that I wanted from the lucrative stock options, everything that I wanted from a startup, you are getting it here as well. The important thing is, in a startup, you can get it then and there, but then remember, it's only a 5% chance of success. Less than 5% startups see the 36th month. Here, it's a marathon. Most CEOs would take 15 years before, 15, 20 years before they reach there.
All right, sir. So next question is from Himanshu. Himanshu, if you can go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Amrit. So my question is primarily regarding the story that you told about how you analyze the cosmetic business and missed out on the deeper intricacy between how the business is being run. And we are living in a world where everything is all the decisions are being made on the basis of data and what those data points indicate. So do you think that we need to recourse ourselves and move to a world where these analytics and these insights are complementary to decision making rather than the centric to it?
Yeah, look, I am a big believer. I mean, I come from finance. I'm a big believer in data and insights. My standard message to everyone was, in God we trust, everyone else gets data. I think, I don't think the issue is on the use of data. It's the intelligent use of data. Data, much like any other tool, is a tool available to you. Decision has to be a combination of that data analytics and market insights. And often those market insights are fuzzy. You can't model them very well. It's sometimes it's a sixth sense. But what I mean by sixth sense is not hocus pocus, not magic. It's just a lot of your subconscious experiences which is telling you something. Don't underestimate that. Don't become a desktop researcher. Try to imbibe the real world. I mean, look at the relationships, right? There's a reason why many nerds don't have a very good relationship, because if you try to do everything, I mean, ever try to use data in managing a relationship? It's all about emotions, right? It's all about listening. It's all about often even agreeing what is wrong, because the larger benefit of a strong relationship is much more important than the immediate fight. Those softer aspects, EQ, I mean, first 1 or 2 years, IQ. Beyond that, EQ.
So next we have Anuj. Anuj, you can go ahead.
Hello, sir. You have been a board member for IIM Amritsar. So how has that experience been compared to corporate experience?
Yeah, very different. Very different. Academic world, academicians behave so differently than the corporate world. In the corporate world, if I give somebody a salary, then I would have a very strong KRA and say, look, you need to deliver this or you're out of a job. You cannot do that with academician. When I talk to my good friends in academia, they say, look, you don't pay the academicians enough, at least spare them their idiosyncrasies. Now the world is changing. I see a lot of people with a lot of solid industry experience getting into academia. And that's a very, very welcome sign across the world. Dr. Fani was saying that's the norm. You cannot be a good quality professor till you have either done a huge amount of industry focused research or doing a lot of industry interaction. IIM Amritsar is probably the only IIM where we got a director from outside. He used to run a US B school, and we got him there. I chair the nomination remuneration committee. We created a KRA for the director. of course, in full alignment with the director, and then we discuss with him. In him, I think we have a great leader there, and he's trying to take us to the next level. I think not just the academics, also the government academic institutions. I mean, you want to do anything and suddenly somebody would have a case against you. You want to fire people for incompetence, and then suddenly somebody would, what's that called? The disclosures, they file a case on. Sometimes, I mean, some of that is good, but all of us know that controls and efficiency have a balancing act. Too much control reduces your efficiency. Too little control makes you go berserk. You have to find that balance. Sometimes the academic institution tends to do the other extreme, but it is changing a lot. It is changing a real lot. Now with this whole thing about an industry-dominated board with full autonomy, our chairman there is the owner of Dainik Jagran, India's largest newspaper. He comes from a very wise guy. He understands how these things work. So we're trying to make a difference. Also, I think in academics, credibility takes time to build. So it's not a quick fix.
So next we'll take Mathili's question. Mathili, you can go ahead.
Good morning, sir. So actually, my question for you was that keeping in mind the different work and market cultures we have across the geography, so how do you think one has to position oneself, to accommodate all these changes while planning to work internationally?
So Maithili, first, congratulations. I'm told there are only 13% women in your campus and you are one of them. So congratulations. I understand 100% engineering batch. Engineering would be worse, right? Less than 10% women. So look, my view, and everyone will have a different view. Don't change your core. Everything else should be fluid. The old middle class values, and this is what we learned from our parents. I'm very proud of my parents, my father, old world, small town, Allahabad, very strong views, would never compromise on them. Money was a very small thing for him. Discipline was very important for him. Those old world values, to my mind, you choose your core values, honesty. You never ever compromise on them, never, not for any temptation in the world. But beyond that, be flexible, because the way you do business in South Africa is very different from the way you do business in Australia. It's very, very different from the way you do business in India. I mean, in India, everyone works so long hours. It's crazy. In South Africa, I couldn't even call my secretary after 5 p.m. because it was considered very rude. Of course, if there's an emergency, people would be more than happy to work. But sometimes even for little things in India, we would disturb people late in the night. In Australia, a very outdoor country, people wouldn't want to move their families just for a job. Here, all of us move from your city, Maithili, to Kanpur, studying, to a job perhaps in Gurgaon, and then the next assignment in Bangalore. It is considered okay. There they will say, why should I move from my city and my friends? So we have to take into account those cultural nuances. And as you go deeper, it's for example, there are countries where the power control is very different. People would listen to hierarchy much more in most Asian countries, like in Japan. Not so in the US, certainly not so in countries like France or Latin. You have to treat them as friends, and then you are just first amongst equals. So don't change your core, but beyond that, be flexible.
So next we have question from Vaibhav Goyal. Vaibhav, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Amrit. Yes, sir. Given your unique journey of being an employee to employer and then again to unemployed, so how different the transitions are, particularly from starting from employee to employer and then again employee to employee?
Look, when you are the boss, the employer, life is a little cool, right? You can, I mean, it's your setup finally, but it's a small setup. When you are now part of a larger machine, you have to follow some decorum. I realize if I come late, then everyone else comes late, and then I don't have a moral right to tell them. So, so those sort of things. Uh, I think, and I learned it from my mother. She keeps saying that circumstances will change. Uh, that is beyond your control. You just have to figure out how to be happy in the new set of circumstances. You can keep cribbing about the old set of circumstances. I uprooted her 3 times as I moved, and she's happy in she makes friends in every new place. So what I've realized is you can keep cribbing about things and keep telling everyone, oh, that was so good. Oh, when that was there. The world doesn't care. The fact is, it was my choice to move from A to B. B has some advantages versus A. It has some disadvantages versus A. Now, I cannot say that it's like an aerostess saying that, oh, there are some unruly customers. Dude, how many people after class 12 get a job where they see the whole world and live such a luxurious lifestyle? That's the positive of an aerosters job. The negative of an aerosters job then is it's a customer facing role. You will have unruly customers. You cannot say I will accept all the positives but not the negatives. So you accept life with all its shades, its positives and its negatives.
So we'll take a couple of last questions. So Baduria, you can go ahead.
Yeah, hello sir. Thank you so much for that insightful session. As you mentioned that smart people learn from their experiences, but wise people learn from experiences of others. So thank you for sharing your experiences and helping us be wise. So my question was regarding reading and writing. So you're an avid reader, as anyone listening to you can make out, and you have a wide breadth in your knowledge, like from philosophy to everything. So how would you say this has helped you, like reading and writing, uh, like not related to academic, but out of pure joy for that thing? So how has that helped you in your journey?
First, I must give credit where it's due. I joined like you people in a campus, and on the very first day, Professor Rajiv Srivastava, I think he has a link with IIT Kanpur too, now teaches at in Lucknow. He came up with a list of 30 books, which were not part of the curriculum at all, but eternally useful in our quest to be wise. And he said, look, a reader lives 1,000 lives. This experience from everyone that you can imbibe, you can learn from. Why wouldn't you read? And I literally took his advice to heart. And since then, I've tried to read a book a day. And of course, over 20 years, a book a day has added up. The incremental power of compounding. I am nowhere near what experts are. My icon, Shashi Tharoor, who used to say, I read one book a day, and novels did not count. And he used to, the challenge in the family was to complete 365 books by Christmas with 5 days to spare. And these were books, not fiction didn't count, like I said. I think a lot of eclectic reading helps you develop a wider perspective. Like we run a course, and if Professor Fani allows, we could probably do something like that. It's called Leadership Through Literature. So learning to become a leader by learning literature. And the idea is, for example, if you want to read about ethics, why would you read a chapter on ethics? Why wouldn't you read My Experiments for Truth by Mahatma Gandhi? If you want to read about focus and the goal in life, read Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha. And these are all easy readings. In my blog, if you go there, nishansaxena.in, you will see easy readings on each genre and difficult readings. Start with the easy reading one. And in every genre, there is something that you will pick up. Many students ask me, which are the first 5 books that you would recommend? And there's a blog around the first 10 or 20 books which are the easiest and but very, very wise, something that will leave a lasting impression. I also, on your larger point, I think we should all have a full personality. I mean, I listen to a lot of ghazals coming from Allahabad. Javed Akhtar is my favorite. And he used to say that one should read everything. One should read James Hadley Chase also. He said, in fact, one of my presidents in Procter & Gamble used to say that I get very, very worried when people say, oh, they only see National Geographic and all, because then you are losing pulse with the customer. We are supposed to sell to the normal consumer, and you will lose pulse with the consumer if you become too academic, if you become too... So I like the fact that a life should be lived in all its shades. I enjoyed reading Keval Upanishad as much as I enjoyed reading Lolita or the 50 Shades of Grey. And each gives me a part of their ethos.
So we'll take Shreya's question. Shreya, you may go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for such an insightful session. So my question is, you have worked as a CEO international business. So what are the problems you faced in North Africa, as it is one of the poorest regions, like it's very underdeveloped? So how can one balance between business and social responsibilities in these areas, in these sectors?
There are 2 parts to your question, Shreya. By the way, my daughter is a singer, and her favorite singer is Shreya Ghoshal. Do you sing as well, Shreya?
Not really, sir.
You're an engineer, Shreya. There are 2 parts to your question, really. One is the complexity and the chaos in many of these markets. Poor structures, poverty generally. Some of the countries I do business in are Yemen. It's closed. I have a factory there, but nobody can come in, nobody can go out, because for the last 7 years it has been in a war. There is a legacy government and there is a rebel government of different parts of the country, but I have a business there. I have people there. I sell to Iran, where there are various sanctions. Thankfully, medicine is not part of sanctions, but again, it puts a lot of curtails on what you could do. I sell in Iraq, where the Kurdistan path is the easier path, Erbil, where you can still go, but not Baghdad anymore. And of course, I sell to Australia and UK and Germany and Spain, where things are different. So I think each of them teach you very different ways to do business. Some of the Middle Eastern is all about relationships. Our partner would come, we would have lunch, dinner with family. They would know that I'm not here to fleece them. If he says your $1 million will come, I can look him in the eye and I know he's not lying, even though there's no LC, nothing. Very different from the way you would do business in Spain. The LC has to come before and everyone understands, what are you talking about? My word, there's no word. It's all about commerce. So you learn very different set of skills in each of these, and who to trust and who not to trust. But also the second part of your question around CSR, and especially coming from CIPLA, which is all about caring for life. Our founder, as you know, Dr. Hamid, the one often called one of the greatest living Indians of all time, single-handedly reduced the price of AIDS and oncology drug by, that was the time in Africa people were dying. And the treatment was like $12,000 a year. How many Africans could afford? And from $12,000, he bought it overnight to $350, $1 a day. And an HBR, a Harvard Business Review case study, was written on it on CIPLA, and a movie was made on it, Fire and the Blood. My own belief is that CSR and businesses have to be intertwined. It should not be a nice thing that I do, because they'll never be able to give it scale. It will be a lip service to come in the newspaper. I will do it, but it will never be. I mean, it can never be my core, right? Because I'm fundamentally a for-profit business. But when it gets integrated to my business model, my job is to get medicines to the poorer in a capitalistic way. By I also make money, but also, the I don't know if you have read Basics of Economics, Adam Smith, the invisible hand of capitalism. Everyone works on their selfish interest, but the invisible hand of capitalism ensures that they're also working for the society in a perfect competition. Uh, that is the model where you ingrain the the CSR activity in your business model. Like Nestle would cut all the middlemen and directly buy milk from the farmers and help in the upkeep on the buffalo. They get better milk, cheaper milk, better quality milk, and the farmers are richer and more efficient. Like Cadbury would try to help in the cocoa production in South India. They get better cocoa at much cheaper price and much faster because they don't have to go through the whole supply chain now. And the poor farmers also benefit. That win-win model is, at least my personal belief, that's what we are trying to do in Sipla as well.
Sir, I have a host of questions still to be answered, but I'll take a last question from Apoorv because in the interest of time, we need to wrap it up also. So Apoorv, if you can go ahead.
Thank you, Amrit. So thank you very much for the session. As you were mentioning about the blog, I just happened to check it out. And I must tell you that I'm going to follow you for a very long time and keep poking you with my comments on LinkedIn and on your blog as well. So my question is related to the pharmaceutical industry. So being indirectly related to the industry, I have sensed that the manufacturing cost of medicines, see it tablets, capsules, syrups, vials, is very less, and a major portion of of the pharmaceutical industry's cost goes into marketing, in terms of marketing representatives and getting on board doctors, getting the word out to doctors. So with recent digital revolution where everything is going online, and with e-commerce taking up in pharmaceuticals as well, has there been a shift in the marketing aspect and in the cost aspect of pharmaceutical industry after the e-commerce like NetMeds and Pharmacy Plus, all these portals have come up?
A very, very big shift. First, the data is not entirely correct. The rep cost is a very small cost in the whole scheme of things. But I think the point is still valid. Is it changing with the digital? Definitely, a lot of models are being discussed. Can we have if a rep was seeing a doctor once every 4 weeks, can he or she now see a doctor once every 8 weeks, and in between there is a digital connect? I think just like education, we have all learned that a pure digital will not work because you need the human relationship. A pure digital, a pure human becomes a little inefficient. Like in Australia, people are able to work only, the actual presentation that they make to the doctor is about 57 minutes in an 8-hour day, because it's a vast country. They have to travel 200 kilometers often to get to the next doctor. And then suddenly the doctor is busy. You go all the way there and then you realize the doctor can't meet. All that inefficiency, digitization can help, but not be a panacea for everything. Like money, it's good. Don't use it everywhere. There are areas problems that we can solve and solve beautifully. But if you try to throw that on everything, then you're not being wise.
Thank you, sir. And I think, like, I still have a lot of questions, but we'll have to, close it now. So on behalf of all the participants, thank you so much, Nishant sir. It was a really insightful session. And thank you so much for taking out time from your busy schedule, and that too on a working day. Your wisdom will surely help us to go a long way in our careers, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Just if it helps, just send me an email with the questions. I'll see over the weekend if I could pen down some thoughts on it. Always a pleasure and an honor, especially Professor Abhay, Professor Fani, and everyone, the students. Usual disclaimer, the views expressed are completely mine, personal, do not represent the views of my employer. I think the young minds, a lot, the world right now is not in a very good shape. And I mean it in more ways than one, not just the pandemic, but also nationalistic governments across the world, a lot of jingoistic cry, a lot of limited resources getting limited, and so fight for those limited resources. People closing borders, and anything that promotes your identity, whether religion or caste, being accentuated, because when there are problems and times are not good, you go back to your roots, and people then starting to take advantage of that. The people who can change some of this, who can lead the country forward, are the young minds here. And it would be a travesty if you also become a follower instead of being the beacon of light and hope. So all the very best. Universities, Radhakrishnan used to say, supposed to represent a clash of minds, the best of us. When I used to teach, I remember we used to go out on a 3-day offsite, and then all the students around, and then we used to just debate, and the dear delight of philosophy, where you would debate the whole night on something without expecting any monetary reward, just to come closer to truth. Follow those high tradition, truth, beauty, and the force. All the best.
Thank you, sir. And on a closing note, I would like to say that igniting the feeling of entrepreneurship, we would like to end the session by sharing the fact that we emphasize a lot on the integration of our curriculum with the startup and corporate engagement. And this is one place where the management school has a live laboratory with more than 100 startups, 12 incubators, 1 S&T park, 5 prototype and testing laboratories. Our students actively engage with them, but also provide innovative solutions to address the problem statements put up by them and related to management, along with year-long events, competitions, and webisodes. A special mention to Mr. Nishant Saxena, Dr. Rupam Das, Dr. Fani, Dr. Shubhankar, and all the faculty members of IME department for your vital contribution. And congratulations to the Prabandhan team, which basically each and every management students of IIT Kanpur wishes that. And as Nishant sir said, let the force with us. Let the force be with us. Thank you so much, sir. And thank you to all the faculty members present.